Hey everyone, welcome to this new ExecutableItems tutorial. In this case, I will be explaining each feature that ExecutableItem has in general terms. In case you are searching for an advanced tutorial or a specific method, I suggest you to check the link in the descriptions below. Also, keep in mind I will be using the premium version of ExecutableItem. If it's the case you are using the free one, I suggest to check the free tutorial that I will leave also in the description below. With that said, let's begin. Since this is a basic tutorial, the first command you should know is EIChow. With EIChow, a GUI will be displayed with all your items that you have. All these folders are from the default items that ExecutableItem has. To create a new one, click in New Item. The plugin will suggest you to use EICreateID. Let's do this. EICreate and the ID. In this case, the ID of the item will be tutorial, but you can set the ID to wherever you want. The ID can't repeat between the items, so the ID is unique. Once the item is created, this GUI will be displayed. First of all, we have the material. Here we can select the material that we want the item to have. You can do it by clicking and selecting, or middle click and type manually the material. In this case, diamond sword, for example. You could see that now the item is a diamond sword. The next thing is the custom name. It's the name of this item. Let's call this tutorial sword. As you saw, I use color codes. Here you can use them. Also, it supports X colors. The lore is the same as the custom name, just setting the lore. Once you click it, you could see every line that the lore has. You can delete them and add a new line, just writing. You can add an empty line, adding the next code. You could see that adding that line is equal to an empty line. Once you are done editing the lore, you can select Finish with your click. Click it and the GUI will be opened again. If we check the display of the item, we could see that it has the name tutorial sword and the lore we set before. The next option is the glowing option. It is to allow glowing or not. If it's the case, the item doesn't have enchantments. By default it is in false, that's why it is not glowing. If we set it to true, the diamond sword will glow and no enchantments will be displayed. Keep in mind that this feature is not for allow or block the glowing. If the item has enchantments, it is impossible to remove the glowing. This feature is to add glowing even if the item doesn't have enchantments. That's the idea for this feature. I will leave these three ones for the final of the tutorial because they are quite complex and they need more explanation. I will leave the minute on the top right if you want to skip to it. The next thing is the give first join features. You can select if you want to give an executable item to new players. You can select the amount and the slot where you want the item to be given. Keep in mind that this feature is for giving items to new players, not players that have already played in your server. only new players. The next feature is the durability. It sets the durability of the item. It can't be higher than the default one of the item. Let's say the diamond sword has maximum of 400 of durability. You can't set it higher than that. This is only for setting vanilla durability. Let's show you. First of all, let's put here 100. You could see that now the diamond sword has 100 of durability. If we want to reset the durability, let's go to durability again and let's write -1. As you can see, the durability is resetted. The next feature is the custom model data. It is useful for adding new textures into executable items. There is already a tutorial of how to do that. I will leave the link in the description below. The next feature is the enchantments. Let's go there. Once you click it, you will be able to add or remove enchantments. Let's say I want my diamond sword to have sharpness 8 and looting 4. Sharpness is done, and now let's go for looting. In the level we click it, we select the number, enter, and save. Now the enchantments are sharpness 8 and looting 4. Let's say we added enchantment that we don't want. For example, let's say we added Unbreaking 7 and we don't want it. You can delete it pressing shift and click, and the enchantment is removed. Once your enchantments are done, let's go back. You will see that now the tutorial sword has looting 4 and sharpness 8. The next feature is Unbreakable. It is simple to understand. It makes the item unbreakable or not. If this value is set to true, the durability of the sword will not go down. And if this is set to false, the durability will go down as vanilla durability. The next feature is Attributes. This feature is so useful because you can change Minecraft features such as armor, damage, movement speed, attack speed, etc. Let's say in this case I want to move faster than normal holding this sword. Let's go to attributes, let's add a new one, and the type of attribute will be movement speed. Let's go down, down, down until movement speed. Let's add a number, and this will be 1. The slots where the attribute will work will be only the main hand. The name is not important, and the UUID you don't have to change it. It is set automatically by ExecutableItems. Let's save this, let's go back, and if we look at the sword, it says +1 speed. Let's test it. Once your item is done, let's save and shift plus right click. You can see that I walk a lot of times faster when holding the sword. If I am not holding it, I will not walk faster. To return to the editor, EI show and click the item. In this case, I think I set a higher value, so let's modify it. The attribute we already created, and instead of 1, 0.3. Let's save it, let's go back, let's save it, and let's give it to us again. And now it's better. So let's continue. EI show and let's edit the item. The next feature is KeepItemOnDeath. It is easy to understand. It's just if you want this item to keep on dead or not. The next one is DisableStack. It is useful for items that normally stacks, such for example the dirt. The dirt can stack until 64 items. If you want it to be disabled, you can enable this feature. The next feature is drop related. First, let's see how normally works. If we drop it, this is the normal item. Let's edit it. Let's enable glow drop. Let's set it to dark red. And I want also to be displayed the custom name. Let's save, and take the item again. Now drop it, and you will see the difference. One is glowing with dark red, the another one not. One is being displayed with the name, the other one not. Now let's go to the next feature, the restrictions. This is an important part. Here you can restrict a lot of things that the player can or can't do. For example, let's say we want the player to not use Anvil on this item. We have to go to restrictions and cancel Anvil. Also, this item can't be enchanted using enchantment table. Let's set cancel enchant to true. Let's also say this item can't be deleted by cactus. Let's go to cactus and let's cancel it. Also, this item can't get burned. Let's go to restriction and cancel item burn. And that's it. You can restrict the player to make some actions. A useful one is cancel item drop, but since I edited the drop to glow and custom name, it wouldn't make sense. If you want it for your item, you can enable it. You can enable any feature you want here. Once you're done, let's save it. The next feature is related to hide. First of all, let's see that my diamond sword says looting 4, sharpness 8, and also when in main hide plus 0.3 speed. Let's say we want to hide that. Since that is related to hide something, we should go to Hiders editor. Here we can hide a lot of things. In this case, I want to hide enchantments and attributes. Let's save this, and you can see that now the diamond sword doesn't show the enchantments and doesn't show the attributes. The next feature is the activators, and this is the strongest feature of executable items. This will be explained later. The next feature is can be used only by the owner. First of all, what is the owner? The owner of the item is the first person who takes the item. So, if we set this to true, all activators that we don't know what they are yet will only be triggered by the owner of the item. In this case, I would like the item to be used by anyone, so let's set this to false. The next feature is store item info. As it says, this feature makes the item to store owner's info. This is useful, for example, to get placeholders and write them in the lore. For example, The placeholder of local time is related to a player, so it must have a relation with someone. If we set this placeholder in the item, it will not work because the placeholder will think, hey, local time of who? If we enable this option, the item will say, oh, okay, I will parse this placeholder to this player, and this player is the owner of the item. The next feature is disabled worlds. Here you can select if you want this item to not work in a specific world. This is useful, for example, to disabling all abilities, all activators, everything of the item if you are in the spawn world, if you are in the event world. So it will only work, for example, in the survival world. For example, in the survival world. And the last feature, but not less important, because this is also a strong feature, is variables. I will explain this when I will explain the activators and usage. When I will do it? Right now. Here goes the part 2 of this video. It's important to say that the part 2 is harder than the part 1, since here is where we are going to see all features that executable item has, such as triggering abilities, a lot of conditions, working with variables, working with usage, and all that stuff. I hope you understood this first part, because this second one will be harder. With that said, bring some popcorns and let's begin. Okay, to start this part, we will go to activators. I will explain these three things later and variables later, because we have to first understand how the activators works. Okay, so let's open this and let's create an activator. A big idea of what an activator is like the type of trigger that you must do to run a block of commands. I will repeat it again, I want you to understand it. Is the way, the type of trigger to run a block of commands. For example, a type of trigger would be walking, would be pressing shift and sneak, would be dropping an item, would be right clicking. Type of trigger to run a block of commands. Block of commands, for example, give the player invisibility, give the player an item, make the player to jump, appears particles on the player. Okay, that's how the activators works. You set the type of activator and then the commands that the activator will run. I hope I hope you understood, because with what I just said, I will explain this new GUI. The first thing is the display name. It's the name of the activator. In this case, as I was saying before, since the activator is trigger and execute commands, I will create an activator related to right click and give effect speed to myself. Okay? So in this case, the display name I will set is a speed buff. Again, this is just a display name. You can set it to whatever you want. You can even set it to the default one. The next thing is the activator. And here goes what I just said, the way to trigger the run of commands. What will be the way? The default one is player all click. That means if the player either right click or left click, the commands will be run. But as I said in the example, I wanted right click and effect give a speed to myself. So the activator shouldn't be all click, it should be right click. Let's search it. We can go down clicking, so let's click. Not here. Haven't arrived yet. Oh, I just see it. Right click in the bottom. Let's go and respawn, right click. Now we just set the way to trigger the skill, right clicking. Let's go to the next feature, cooldown options. It is easy to understand. It's just a way to add a cooldown to this activator. In the case of this example, we could restrict the player to only use right click and give a speed to the player with 30 seconds of cooldown. So let's do it. Let's go here, cooldown, and let's set this to 30. The next thing is cooldown in ticks? Keep in mind that ticks is related to Minecraft. 20 ticks is 1 second. In this case, I don't want this cooldown to be in ticks. I want the cooldown to be in seconds, so I will set this to false. Do I want when the player triggers the skills, if he is in cooldown, a message will be displayed? Yes, I would like to, so I will set this to true. And here you could select the cooldown message. In this case, I will let the default one. And cancel event if in cooldown. Cancel event is quite hard to understand the first time, so I will leave this to the end of the tutorial too. Now let's save. So the next feature would be detailed slots. What is detailed slots? I will come back to the example I said before. I know it's worth to listen it again, but it is important to explain this correctly. I want right click and give a speed to myself. Okay, right click, but where in terms of a slot do I want that right click to be activated? The normal idea would be thinking, okay, right clicking the item, but I would also like this activator to work if in main hand or in off hand. Normally that is not how it works by default, so we have to set that. Let's go to detailed slots. We will see that a slot main hand is enabled. Let's enable to offhand. Now the item will work either offhand, either main hand. Now let's save. The next feature is the type of target. We could restrict this right click and give a speed to myself. In this case, we could restrict this right click to only work if your target is air, is a block, or is whatever. In this case, I will set it to only air, just to show you how this works when testing the item. So let's set this to only air, and that's it. The next feature is the global cooldown. As the previous feature related to cooldown, that cooldown is per player. So the player right click, cooldown of 30 seconds. If he give the item to another player, the another player will be able to use the item. He will use it and boom, get also a 30 seconds of cooldown. But if you would like the item to have a global cooldown, this feature is for you. In this case, I am testing in this server alone, so it doesn't make sense. I will not change it. But again, it's not hard to understand. It's the same than cooldown, but it works on every player. Okay, other A cooldowns feature. It is useful to adding cooldowns to another executable items. For example, let's say we have an item A and an item B. If we use an activator from item A, right click for example, we right click and we would like the player to not be able to use the activators of item B. So in this case we are modifying another item from an item that it is not itself. So if we do what I just said, the player will use the item A, and then when he tries to use the item B, he will be on cooldown. That's the idea of this feature. Also, this can be applied to the item itself. For example, let's say this item has 8 abilities and we would like the player to only trigger one ability per time. That means the cooldown should be shared by every activator. That is not possible, so we should add a cooldown to the item itself. That means adding a cooldown to every activator, and that means global cooldown for activator on an item. I hope you understood. It's quite hard to explain because this feature is one of the main strongest when making complex items. As a little summarize, other A cooldowns is useful for adding cooldowns to executable items from another executable item. The next thing is CancelEvent. As I said, I will not explain this yet. The next feature is AutoUpdateItem. What does this do? This is useful for updating the item. In this example, this sword is called Tutorial Sword. So if I give it to myself, the name will be Tutorial Sword. Now, if I change it using EICooldown, I change the name, for example, to Excalibur, the name will be changed in the GUI, but it will not be changed in my inventory. Okay, this is important. Now, if we enable this option, AutoUpdateItem, it means each time this activator is triggered, just to remind you, the activator is right-clicking, the item will get updated. That means have the same values as the one from the GUI. This is useful, for example, when making changes using EICooldown and want those changes to be applied on items. It is important to say AutoUpdateItem only works with visual things. For example, CustomName, Lore, Enchantments, Attributes, etc. In terms of activators, for example, changing the command that an activator runs, that is automatically updated. So you should enable this option only if it's necessary and only if you want to change visual things. Activators are updated automatically. The next row of things are all these ambles. What are all these ambles? Well, there are conditions. Let's go back to the example I said before. I want to right click and give myself a speed. But let's say I want to add conditions to it. For example, right click while shifting to have a speed. Okay, that shifting is a condition. It's a hey, if you don't do this, the commands will not be run. To add the condition of shifting, first let's see the type of condition. The first one is related to the player. The second one related to the world, related to the item, custom A conditions, and placeholders conditions. Let's give a look to everyone. In player conditions, we have a lot of conditions. For example, if sneaking, if not sneaking, if sprinting, if not sprinting, if flying, if it's in the air, if player EXP, if cursor distance, if swimming. We can go to the next page. If has an executable items in the inventory or in a specific slot, if it's in biome, if has tag, if it's in block, if it's in region. We can go to the next page. If not has items, like a lot of conditions. You can make anything that will only work by certain conditions that you want. And remember, all these conditions are related to player. But what about world? For example, if weather is, or if world time is. For example, creating an item that only work if it's night and if it's raining, for example. Item conditions, if it's a crossbow and it must be charged or not be charged, if the durability of the item is higher than, if it's lower than, if it's equal than, if the usage a feature that I haven't explained it yet, if has an enchant, if not has an enchant, the custom A conditions, if need player confirmation, for example, instead of just one right click, the first right click triggers, hey, are you sure you want to do this? And the second right click confirmates it. If it's the owner of the A, if it's not the owner of the A, and placeholders condition that this is useful to use placeholder API, a whole library of placeholders of almost every plugin. With this you can add conditions from another plugins. And that's it, that's a general idea. In this case I will select that the item will only work if shifting and it needs a player confirmation. So let's go to player conditions. If sneaking, I will enable this. The message, you can change it or set it to null if you want. And cancel event, as I said, I haven't explained this yet. I will explain this later. Let's save. Confirmation is right here, custom A. If need player confirmation, true. The error message will be the same. And let's save. And that's it. We just saw all this row. We just left two things. The first one, silence output. This is useful for some commands. It doesn't work on every command, but some commands are not displayed in the console. For example, normally if you give an effect to a player, in the console will appear the effect speed will be given to player, for example. And if you have a tons of items, the console will be filled with a lot of commands of effect. If you want to silence them, you can enable this option. And the last thing, player commands. Here we can select the commands that will be run when triggering the activator. Let's click here and we can see. First of all, wiki of player commands. You can click here and you will open the wiki to check all commands available. Also a tip, your commands, the slash is useless, so don't use a slash. The lines that we have, because there are no lines. The options to finish editing or adding a line, and some suggestions. You can go to the next page, another suggestions, next page, another, and you can check the comments in the wiki. That is your part of this job. So in this case, I want the player to have speed. So the normal command is effect give the name of the player. In this case, we have to use placeholders. I invite you to check the placeholders link of the wiki. I will leave it in the description below, the wiki link. Effect give player speed, the amount of seconds, let's say 15 seconds, the level speed 2, and that's it. I enter and now the command is right here. If you don't know how effect give works, you can check it in the wiki, tutorials, utilities, and effect give command. There is a link to guide you how to use that command. The player right now will right click and get some speed. But let's say we want some particles to appear too. We have two options. Use the vanilla particle command or the ExecutableItem particle command. Let's use the second one. Previous page, and here we have particle. Let's click this and particle type quantity offset speed. In this case, type will be flame, quantity 40, offset 0.5, speed 0.1, and let's enter. Also, let's have a message. Previous page, I have to search for send message right here. Send message, let's click this and send message. Let's write. It supports colors, so you can write with them. You have activated the boost, the speed boost, and enter. And let's say we are done. You have to click on finish, and that's it. We have the activator done. Let's save this. This is important, please. Always save all things that you do. Save, and now in activators we have this activator. Let's go back. Let's save, and let's test this. I have the sword. It doesn't display the enchantments, the attributes. It gives myself a speed when holding. If I drop it, it glow. It have the display name. If I right click it, you can't activate this item. Invalid condition if sneaking. As we said before, the activator right click will only work if I am shifting. Also remember, I will show you it. If we go to the activator, I set it to only work if clicking air. What happens if I right click block? The condition, no message. Like right click air, you're not sneaking, hey. But if I right click block, no message appears. Why? Because the activators is not even triggering. Because the activator will only work if I am clicking air as I said in the GUI. So let's do this. Let's do this. Right click. I will shift, right click. You can't activate this item, invalid condition, if need prior confirmation. So the next time I right click it, the item will work. Some particles of flames, you have activated the speed boost message and I got a speed. The item is working perfectly. Let's say I want it to work again. Right click, oh, I am not sneaking. True. Let's shift, click, need prior confirmation, click again. I am on cooldown. Remember, we set a 30-second cooldown. That's why you're in cooldown and there is 10 seconds left. So everything is working as intended. I hope you understood everything of this activator. Now I will explain the usage, the cancel event, variables, and then I will make another activator that will be more complex than this one. We can say this was a simple item. We saw every feature and I hope you understand everything now. But again, this is a start point. Let's get the things a little bit harder. Okay, so here goes the third part of the tutorial. Keep in mind that I will making the items faster than before because I suppose you guys you already understand each feature, so I will not explaining the feature that I already explained, and that's it. Let's go. I have to explain usage, cancel event, variables, and the second item more complex than the first one that will be related to the fourth part of the video. Let's begin with usage. First of all, I will create a new item. It will be called usage. Okay? And first, the idea. What's the idea of the item? I would like an item that gives strength to the player, but it can only be used one time, for example, just as a starter point. So the player right click the item and he will receive a strange effect. The item can only be used one time. So first, the material, I thought about an emerald, I think. We have this. Let's go to the activator, right click. I use right click because it's the most easy to understand. But there are a lot of triggers, so you can make the item and the activator you want. Remember, this is a basic tutorial. So right click and in commands effect give player strength 30 seconds, maybe less, 10 seconds, strength 4. Finish, save, and that's it. Remember, we wanted this item to only work one time, like you right clicking and it disappears. Right now it works like click and strength 4, but click 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 strength 4, click 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 click, it doesn't disappear. Why? Okay, here we goes with a usage explanation. Usage is like the durability of vanilla items, but in executable items. Okay, usage is a value that if it reaches 0, the item disappears. Okay, that's the main idea. Please remember it. If the usage reaches 0, the item disappears. Okay? This item at the initial point has 0 durability, but it is not being updated by anything. That's why the item is not disappearing. So we should modify this value. How can we modify this value? Using the activators. Keep in mind that right now usage is 0. Let's go to the activator and we have this option, usage modification. This value is the modification that will be applied to the usage of the item when activating this activator. Okay? In this case, the usage is 0. If we set this value to -1, when right-clicking, the new value will be -1 because 0, the actual usage, modified by this usage modification, that means 0 plus -1 equals -1, means the item is refreshed, means the item reaches 0, means the item is gone. So again, we have usage 0 and usage modification -1. Let's test now the item. As I said in the second part, the activators are updated automatically. So if I right click this item, it is gone. It disappears. Okay, it is working as intended. Now, I will not touch this. This is modification -1. It's fine. What if we change this? Let's put here 1. Try to figure out what will happen. I will give myself the item. It will have usage 1. Okay? When right clicking, remember usage modification -1. So if I right click, the usage new will be the actual usage plus the modification. That means 1 plus -1. Okay? Remember, 1, right click and -1. The new usage is 0. And as I said, if the usage reaches 0, it disappears. Let's test. I will give myself the item. I will right click and it disappears. It is working as intended. So you would think, what's the difference between 1 usage and 0 usage if they work the same? The difference is that 1 usage is displayed in the lore, remaining usage 1. If you set this to 0, it is not here. Okay? So, what if we would like the item to be used 10 times? Okay? Since the activator is modifying the usage by -1, and we want this activator to work 10 times, the usage would be 10. Okay, I hope you understand why it is like that. Right now the usage is 10. If I right click the item, the activator right click will be triggered. That means the commands will be run, effect strange, and the usage modification also will be run. Since usage modification is -1, the new usage will be actual usage 10 plus modification plus -1, and 10 plus -1 is 10. I hope you understand, like, it's not so hard. If I right click, it goes to 9. Right click, it goes to 8. Right click, it goes to 7, and so on. 2, 1, and if it reaches 0, it disappears. Okay? This value can be whatever you want, and this value too. For example, let's put this to -2. That means right now uses are 10. I right click, it goes to 8 because usage modification is -2. Okay? Now. The usage thing is explained, and usage modification too. Let's go to usage limit, because usage limit is the amount of uses maximum that the item can have. Okay? For example, instead of reducing the usage, let's say right click raises the usage by 1. Let's see what happens. Right now it is 10. I right click, it goes to 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay? But I can right click it the times I would like to. I'm 30 right now, 41, and so on. What if I would like the usage to not go up more than 20? That is the usage limit. Let's test. Right now it is in 10. Right click, 11, 12, 13, 18, 19, 12, and I am right clicking right now. I am right clicking and it can't go up. That's the purpose for usage limit. Is if it's the case an activator raises the usage will not be able to go up more than this limit. Okay? And remember, the usage is like the durability of an executable item. If it goes or if it reaches 0, the item is gone. How can we modify this usage? Using activators and usage modification. The usage modification is the value that will be applied to the actual usage. If the actual usage is 10 and usage modification -5, we trigger this activator and the new usage will be 5. We trigger again and the new usage will be 0. Since the new usage is 0, the item is gone. Okay, so usage is explained. There is still a couple of things more, because uses per day is just the amount of uses that you can trigger per day. There is still left the uses per day, but this is simple. It's just the amount of uses that you can use the item or the activators per day, per world day, not Minecraft day. And inside activators we have use per day. It's the same, but instead of the whole activators as the first one, this is only applied to this activator alone. And that's it. That's the whole explanation about usage. Let's go to CancelEvent. Okay, so remember, we are still in the third part of this tutorial related to cancel events. First of all, what is an event? You have to know that all events are related to the activator where it is. For example, events means doing something, and that doing something is related to activators, because activators are a way to trigger commands, way to trigger doing something, okay? For example, let's say right click and right clicking a button, okay? The event is right clicking a button. We are able to cancel that event using CancelEvent. Let's create this item. Let's go. Create CancelEvent button, for example. It will be a stick. I will not say a custom name, lore, that is gone. You can set it to whatever you want. I just want you to show the CancelEvent method. So activators, remember, I want to cancel event when clicking buttons. So let's go to right click, only right clicking blocks, and I will cancel the event. Save and save. And now if we place a button, normally, okay, I don't see it. This one? Yep. Normally, I will place a redstone lamp so you can see it better. Right click and it turns on. But if I click it with this one, the event is not triggered, like the event is not happening, because we set an activator right click with CancelEvent. Okay, that's the point of this. What another example of CancelEvent we can have? For example, I just deleted the activator with shift click. Create a new activator. For example, click on entity. Okay. DetailedClick left, because that's the click where we hit the entities. And just it. I will add to player command say hit, just to know the activator is working. It is not needed to give myself the item again. As I said, the activators are updated automatically. And let's play zombies. If I click them, hit, 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 and I am hitting the zombie. What if I go to the activator and I cancel the event? Remember, player click on entity, left, cancel event. Now if I click the zombie, it says hit, but the zombie is not being hit because I am canceling the event. Okay, I hope you understand what I'm saying. I hope yes. For example, another one, a villager, loom. Okay, if I right click, this GUI is open. If I right click with this stick, the GUI will be open too. But what if I don't want that to happen? Let's go to activators, player click on entity. Is it related? Yes, because I am clicking the villager. So why is it not working? If CancelEvent is untrue, it's because detailedClick is only to left. Let's set it to right, or right or left, like it doesn't matter, just right in this case. Let's save, back, save. If we try with the hand, fine. If we try with this stick, it doesn't happen. And it says hit because we set in the command sections to say hit when the activator is triggered. Okay, so that is how CancelEvent works. Let's go to another example, the last one, related to, let's see. Okay, I have an idea. For player receive hit by global. Okay, what does this mean? Let's summon a zombie. Oh, the villager is sad. Okay, we have 2 zombies. Let's see this again. It is an stick. Player receive hit global. And I will enable the cancel event. Okay. Save, save, and save. If I set myself to survival, the zombies will hit me. That's normal. What if I put my stick on the hand? The zombies are hitting me, but the event is being cancelled. I will select my hand again. 3, 2, 1, and they hit me. I got the stick, and the event is being cancelled. That's perfect. That's exactly what the item and cancel event is supposed to do. Okay. So that's it. That's how cancel event works. Now you can cancel event depending on a lot of conditions, like cancel event here, cancel event if it's in cooldown, cancel event if it's in global cooldown. Also on player conditions, if you are not sneaking, cancel event if error, since the error would be not sneaking, cancel event if not sneaking, cancel event if the player XP is not matching the condition, cancel event on every condition, and a lot of cancel events. Like you can cancel event doing a lot of things. For example, use things, useful items you could make with cancel events is canceling the event of death, such as creating a custom totem, canceling the event of what I just did related to cancel the damage, cancel clicking entities. For example, an ability after right clicking you get strange for 10 seconds, but the next 10 seconds or after the strange you can't hit mobs. For example, just a random idea. That is the way that cancel event works. And now let's move on to the third part of the tutorial related to variables. Okay, so variables. What are variables? They are a way to store some information. That's the main point of variables. There are 2 types of variables in ExecutableItems: the integer variables, like the number variables, and the string variables. Okay, so first let's do a easy explanation of how this work. Let's create a variable, again a stick. I will put a name here, variable counter. And let's go to variables, because that's the main. Let's create one. This will be called counter. Okay, variable name. I click it, it asks me for a name, counter. What will be the type? Okay, first of all, I will tell you my idea for this first basic tutorial. It will be a counter of clicks. Okay, so it will be an activator player all click. Like, try to figure it out in mind, imagine it, how it will work. Player all click. Each click will increase this variable by 1 in the same way that usage works, where the variables works in a way so similar. So in the case I want to increase this variable, it can't be a string because a string doesn't works like numbers. I can't do a string plus 1. That doesn't make sense. So the variable must be number, and it will start in 0. Okay, let's save this and let's go to activators. All click, and the first thing I would like to do is to print that variable. I want to know if it is working fine or not. To print it, it will be say and the variable. How do I write the variable? Like, how do I say, hey, I want this value to be here? Okay, I will exit first here. I will save this. I will go to variables, and I have to know the name of the variable. In this case, the name is counter. Okay, so the placeholder is say, and the placeholder bar counter. Okay, it's the idea is that it is bar and here the name. Okay, if want more information about how variable placeholder works, go to check the wiki and go to placeholders. So say bar counter, finish, save, and variable. Let's click it and it is 0. It's fine because the start value of the variable is 0, so it is working, but it is not finished yet because I would like each click the variable goes up by 1. So let's do that. Each click means in the same activator player all click. And how do we make the variable to go up by 1? To do that with usage is here, but with variables is here. Okay, variables updates. That is what we want. Let's create a new type of update. The update will be to the variable called counter. The type, there are two types. The set is to set a specific value. Okay, like set it to something specific. But we don't want that because our value will change in the time. One time will be 1, if you click to 2, if you click to 3, so it is not an static value. So it is modification. Modification to 1, like it will increase the variable by 1. That's the point of this one. Okay, if we would like to decrease the variable by 1, it would be -1. Okay, so let's save this, save and save. And now if we give the item to ourselves and click, it is 0. Now it is 1. Now it is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and it will go up each click we do. Okay, so that's like the main idea of variables. We are storing the amount of clicks we are making, but we can store everything. For example, let's make an item that most of people would like to do and ask for help doing it in the support channel of Discord commonly. That is a kill counter, like a sword that tells you the amount of entities you have killed. Okay? The amount of entities you have killed. The amount of entities is a type of information, the type of integer. It is a number. It is not a string. It is a number. So a type of information that you should storage somewhere. Where can we storage it? In variables. So each entity killed, the variable go up by 1. And show that in the lore. Okay, let's do that. It's not, doesn't look hard. A create kill counter will be an iron sword. Again, you can set the name, the lore, and all this by yourself. I will just explain the main topic, that is variables. Let's create a variable. It will be called kill counter. It is not a string, it is a number, as we just said. And it starts on 0, because the starter point is 0 entities killed. Okay? Let's save this. Let's go back. And it doesn't do anything. Like, okay, we have a variable, all fine. But remember the idea. The variable go up by 1 when killing entities. When killing entities, it is a type of trigger. Trigger is a type of activator. So let's go to activators, new activator, and kill entity. Let's search for an activator similar to that. I'll click, but enter before the click on entity, maybe, but it is clicking. I don't want that. I want killing entity. Let's go, maybe here, drop, jump. Okay, kill entity. Here we have. There is always an activator for everything you want. Okay, so just search it. That's why I just made this example, like saying, oh, what do we need? There is always an activator that will allow us to achieve the item we want. And if there is no activator, feel free to ask help in the support channel or suggest that activator in suggestion books channels. Okay, so since the item requires this activator and it exists, we are done. Player kill entity, and we have to increase the variable. So variables, kill counter, modification by 1. This time is faster than before because we already know how this works. And that's it. Now this sword, each time I kill an entity, the variable will go up by 1. What variable? This variable. But we would like to show it in the lore. So let's write entities killed double dot. And how can we write it here? In the same way we did it before with the command say. We use a placeholder. So bar kill counter. And finish, save, and let's give us the item. Entities killed 0.0. Let's summon a zombie. If I kill it, if I click, nothing, but if I kill, 1. It works perfectly. We are storing the amount of killed entities in that variable and showing that variable in the sword. Now, that 1.0, I don't like it at all, the 0.0. Is there a way to hide it? Obviously. instead of using bar kill counter, we have to use bar kill counter int. So the variable will be cast as an integer, as a solid number. Let's try again. And now it says 0 instead of 0.0. And once I kill the entity, 1, 2. Okay? So it now works perfectly. That's how it works. We create variables as a way to storage information. How do we storage that information? Using activator and variable modifications or variable sets. And we just created two simple examples, showing you how it works. Now we are going to go to the last part of this tutorial, where we are going to create an item. It's not so complex, but it will mix a lot of features we have talked about in this whole tutorial. I know this is getting a long video, so the fourth part will be faster than normal, because I suppose you already understand how all this work. And let's do this. The final step. There is no more popcorn. I don't know. Bring some water for me. And let's do this. Okay, so let's do the fourth part of this video, the last one, where we are going to make a quite complex item, but simple in general terms. The idea is the next. First, the item, the main idea is to right click and you will be teleported to certain position. This certain position will be selected by the item. Okay, so the item, you for example shift right click a block, and this will be the position where you are going to be teleported if you right click. Okay, like you save a position, if you right click you will be teleported there, but it must have some conditions. For example, you can't get teleported if there is no place saved. Also, you can't place more than one position. Like you place one position and it will not work anymore, the save position part, and you will be able to teleport to the safe position only 5 times. Okay, I hope you understood the idea. You can save a position and you can teleport yourself to the position 5 times, and some restrictions to don't make the item to get bug. So let's start. First of all, I create TP position, random name. This will be an iron ingot. Let's make this. Let's change the name.
LTP position and shift plus right click save the position. The position can only be saved or saved one time. Empty line and right click to teleport to your position.
To your saved position. It and uses double point usage. Okay. So this Okay, so the item right now is TP position, shift right click to save the position, and right click to teleport to the saved position. Okay, we have to storage the position in the variables. Let's create a variable called x string empty called y. It can be type of number, but in this case I will use a string. Okay, it will work if you work with numbers. There is no problem. Empty. I just want to play with a string because I can test if it is empty or not, like if it is literally empty. Remember, we are setting this variable to empty. So we have the variables, the item. Let's go to activators. The first activator will be the one where we save the position. So player conditions, if sneaking, and let's delete this message. Save, save. A command, send message. You have saved the position, double dot, the position, double dot, and the variables var x, var y, and var z. And we have to save the variable. So in modifications, x will be same as block x. Y will be the same as block y. If you don't know about block placeholders, check the wiki of executable items and set to block block we we I I my bad, sorry, to block set now and set. That's it. So x to block x, y to block y, and z to block z. And this will only work if we're clicking a block. So it can't be no type target. It must be only block. Because if we set it to no type target, the player can target the air and it doesn't have placeholders. So it must be only block. And that's it. Now another right click with conditions. If not sneaking, I wouldn't like the both activators to be triggered at the same time. That's why. Send a message. You got teleported. And the command execute as player at run to be to bar x bar y and bar z. That's it. Let's save, let's save, let's save. We have the item. Let's place a position here. Look. Let's give us the item again, just in case, because it didn't work. Okay, done. Here it is. You have saved the position. Empty, empty, empty. That happened because the first values were empty. So what we must say is here on you have saved the position, add a delay tick before sending that. Now it works. Okay. So we got the item, right click, it says it's fine, and if we right click the air, we got teleported to the item, to the block, sorry. Because again, we storage the coordinates of the blocks while shift right clicking, and we get teleported into the block each time we right click. Now we have to finish the item, like the idea is done, but we must finish it. First of all, it can only be used 5 times, so each teleport usage modification to -1 while usage is 5. Okay, so we save this. Usage is 5, right click. Usage is 4 in remaining uses, but the uses above doesn't decrease. Why? Because I set the placeholder of usage in the lore, but I haven't hidden the usage here. I have to hide it to make work the another one. So let's set this to true. Let's give my item again, and now if I shift right click, the usage goes to 4, 3, 2, 1, and it's gone. But this item has some bugs. For example, what if I don't save a position and I just click? You got teleported, but nothing is happening. So we must set a condition that this teleport will only work if the variables are not empty. It is not related to player conditions, to world, to item, to custom. It is related to the placeholders of the variables. So I have to go to placeholder conditions, player string, because the variable is type of a string. The first part is var x must be different than empty. And if it is not valid, I will say you haven't set a position. Okay? And now let's test this. If I give myself the item and instantly click, you haven't set a position. So I will save the position and now it will work. Nice. One bug solved, but there is another bug. If I save the position here, I can save the position here too. So I can set 2 times the position, and 3 and 4 and a lot. And I said it can only be saved 1 time. To solve this, in the activator where we save the position, we have to add a placeholder, player string var x. It must be equals to empty. And if it's not equal, it will say you have already set a position before. And let's test. Save, and save a position, and now you can't because the start variable is empty. So the activator of saving the position will only work when it is empty. When you save the position, that variable is not empty anymore. So that activator will not work anymore. The same with teleport. Teleport will only work if the variable is different than empty. So when the item is new, by default the variables is empty. So the TP activator will not work. But if you save the position, the variable will not be empty anymore. That means the placeholder will be different than empty. That means the activator is run. And that's why I am getting teleported. And that's all. I hope you understood. We made 2 activators, the one for saving the position, the one for teleporting. We have 3 variables where we store the position where we are going to get teleported. In the description we have the uses using the usage placeholder It will only work if you hide usage in the hiders section. To save the position in the activator, we have usage modifications and placeholders conditions to don't be able to save this position 2 times or more times. Also, we set a message to show the player where you are saving the position. We added a delay tick to solve that it was saying empty position. I didn't like that, so we added a delay tick. Delay tick is a command that it runs the command the next line before the times goes. In this case, delay tick is time of 2 ticks. You can work with seconds too using delay. And the teleport activator has a message and the teleport. The teleport command was pretty strange. Execute as player at @s run TP. Yes, it was kinda hard, but it is just vanilla commands. Like, if you don't know them, you can see a lot of videos related to vanilla commands that people have made all these years. That is just vanilla commands. And that's it. With this item I can finish this tutorial. I will make a little summarize right here. We first explained the main GUI, then we explained the activators, the activator GUI, then the usage, the cancel event, we explained the variables, we made a simple item, and then we created a more crazy item right here. With that said, I can finish this tutorial. I hope you understood it. If have any question, feel free to ask in the support channel of Discord. I know it was too long, this video. If you are really here and listening me after all this time, I'm happy. I would really like to know that you really understood it. Now it's your turn. Get everything that I said and apply them into items. Create item. Try to imagine. Try to repeat the steps that I did. Thinking the idea. Thinking how to make it. Then make the item in general terms. Then solving the bugs. And that's it. Having the item done. Go for it, and don't forget, the only limit you have is the one you place to yourself. Have a nice day. See you.